a lot of you, and thanks for the recording, Josh. A lot of you invite others to the call based on the agenda that we send out a week ahead. So some folks may be new to this, but anyway, my name's Rosa Maimi, and I'm Director of Engagement and Membership, and among other things, oversee kind of the section support, section leader support role. So glad to have you here. This is our monthly call where we talk about operational issues of interest to section leaders and to others in your executive committees and your kind of your leadership sphere. So we have a lot going on today. So before we get to the agenda, let me see if Amber wants to say anything.
Thanks, Rosa. Hi, everybody. I'm Amber Levy, VP of Affiliation, Engagement, and Membership. Nice to see so many of you here today. I know that there is time for our section spotlights today, so that's great. But in addition, our team has a few important updates to go through. So I just want to emphasize we're really trying to get input from our community, and we will continue to do that. So I just wanted to make sure I highlighted that first before we get into today's meeting. But hi, nice to see you. Thanks again, Rosa. I will send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Amber. So why don't we go over the agenda real quick, even though you all probably saw it when we emailed it a couple of times. So we're going to start off with OSPA and student travel grant update, take a few minutes on that. Updates to AGU's digital voice, also talk about section websites and section spotlight, where you can see a theme here. A couple of the sections have said they're going to talk about how they update their web pages and then open mics. So you see, like I said, you see a bit of a theme here. So looking forward to hearing from everyone. And I'm going to turn it over to Eric.
Thank you, Rosa. Hey, everyone. Eric Hankin. I've been on these calls before, but if you've never met me, I'm the Assistant Director for Career and Student Programs, been at AGU for quite a while now, and was a member before I came here. And I'm going to be joined by my colleague, Ricky Anderson, Program Manager for Student Programs and Grants. Together, we work on a lot of the student and career programming, specifically here today to talk about OSPA, or the Outstanding Student Presentation Award Program, and student travel grants. If you can go to the next slide. So we'll kick it off with student travel grants. So notifications are going out this week for our AGU 24 student travel grants, both the award letters as well as rejection notices. I want to kick it off by saying thank you to our section leaders for wrangling all of our volunteers, and thank your volunteers too for all of the work that they did in August and early September. Certainly a busy time of year. We know for you all with fieldwork coming to a close, semester starting, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's a busy time. And we appreciate all the work they did to go through hundreds of travel grant applications and provide scores and feedback. So in total, we have 137 student travel grant winners. That's just for the student travel grants. We have some other solicitations too, like our Berkner Travel Fellowship, which provides an all expense paid trip for folks from World Bank Tier 1 and Tier 2 countries to attend AGU 24. We have 10 Berkner Travel Fellows attending this year, which will be super exciting. But we continue to get so folks are being told this week if they want or not. We give them a couple weeks to formally accept, and then that's when we make a public announcement. So we'll be able to share with our sections in mid-October who your awardees are, because we know a lot of you like to recognize them at your section events at the annual meeting, as well as newsletters leading up to that. We continue to get some folks reaching out for travel funding, of course. And of course, the student travel grant that we run is closed, but we know some sections were running their own solicitations. So if any of those sections who are running their own student travel grant solicitations, if those are still open, it would be really helpful to know. You could just put it in the chat, because we may be able to point folks your way, but it's a blind spot for us. So would love to know. Go to the next slide. So on to OSPA. So I'll talk about some updates for this year, and then I'll kick it over to Ricky to talk more about the timeline and the numbers and some of that fun data. So we did have a new process this year for sign up. In the past, students have signed up during the abstract acceptance process. We heard from the section leader community last year. The proposal came to, hey, why don't we rethink this? Why don't we do it earlier? It would be really helpful to have some more lead time with that OSPA participant data to be able to wrangle volunteers and get chugging along. And talked internally about, okay, do we have the capabilities here? Talked with our OSPA advisory committee to make sure they thought this made sense and everyone was totally on board. So we changed the process this year so that students signed up to participate in OSPA as part of abstract submission. It went very well. And I'm sure you all know we have a record number of abstracts this year, but we also have a record number of OSPA student presenters, disproportionate to the increase that we saw in abstracts. So Ricky will get into those numbers, but we have a lot of OSPA presenters this year. We will also have an expanded suite of training resources and updating ones that we already had, not only to help orient people around the platform, but also help folks understand how to provide constructive feedback, as well as what their roles mean. And specifically, we heard from our students last year that even though we were asking them to review a peer, that many felt they weren't qualified. And of course they're qualified. They're students, they're scientists. They see these talks all the time, and our student presenters need to be able to present not only to senior scientists, but also their peers. And so, expanding those resources so that students feel more comfortable providing that feedback and understanding, what's required as part of this process. So that's one of the student requirements. We also have the requirement that students need to upload a digital version of their presentation to the OSPA platform. These were both requirements last year. They were very soft requirements. No one was removed from OSPA for not having met these, and that is the intent again this year. We're not going to remove anyone, but we are making it very clear in our messaging that this is something that's expected of them, and providing them with the resources and the customer service to help them meet those requirements. If you go to the next slide. And this is where I will turn it over to Ricky to talk about the numbers. Ricky.
All right. Thanks so much, Eric. So first, like Eric said, I'm going to talk about the size of this year's OSPA program. As Eric mentioned earlier, we did have a record high number of abstract submissions this year that, along with the new OSPA sign-up process, led to an increase in OSPA presenters at AGU 24. It is almost double what our high was in 2019. So we did see an increase of 3,713 OSPA presenters from last year. This increase is primarily focused around poster presenters, where we see an increase of 2,911 presentations. Of course, these numbers are subject to change, as they do in the lead up to a meeting. Last year, we actually saw 11% of our OSPA presenters either withdraw from the meeting itself or from the OSPA program. So these numbers will change, but we're not sure by how much, just because this is such a bigger program than it has been in years past. Next slide, please. All right, and then these are the numbers by section. Again, these numbers will shift, and you can find these numbers in the section leadership community. I've uploaded them there along with your OSPA 2023 numbers, so you can compare them. So we have this large influx of OSPA students, and we're going to be working very closely with your coordinators this year to help them with this. As Eric mentioned, all students are required to review a peer, so that eases the burden by a bit. And then we're also targeting a mid-October date to allow all volunteers and students into the OSPA system. And we hope by opening the OSPA system 2 months before the meeting begins, that we'll have enough lead time to encourage reviewers to actually go into the system and commit to reviewing some students before the meeting. And then similarly, we'll encourage our students to go into the system and sign up to review a peer before they get to the meeting. So hopefully that will help, with finding reviewers before the meeting and then during the meeting as well. Next, we'll go over the OSPA timeline. And as I go through the timeline, please feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. So like we said earlier, OSPA setup was tied to abstract submission. Similarly, submitters could indicate if they were interested in reviewing OSPA presentations. This week, your OSPA coordinators will receive the current OSPA information for your section, which includes this list of potential reviewers and then also the list of student presentations. While the technical schedule isn't completely finalized or public yet, we will be sending the information we have, which is the student's session and their presentation type. And then once the schedule is finalized in early October, coordinators will receive that schedule and their list of liaisons who volunteer to help find reviewers for their specific sessions. Mid-October, once all of our AGU 24 program data is finalized, we'll open the OSPA system to volunteers and students. Coordinators and liaisons will be able to see live tracking of their sections or sessions. Reviewers will be able to log in and commit to review specific student presentations, and students may begin uploading their digital presentations and signing up to review a peer. On December 6th, we have the deadline for OSPA presenters to upload a digital version of their presentation to the OSPA system. This deadline is the Friday before the meeting, and the upload can be really as simple as uploading their slides or a PDF of their poster. We actually implemented this requirement last year and found it to be very successful. Looking at last year's data, OSPA participants who did upload were more likely to be reviewed and were more likely to win. Also, we heard from our reviewers last year that they really loved this digital upload feature because it allowed them to find presentations that they felt well suited to review. And it also helped them jog their memory when they were submitting their reviews in January after the meeting. Then, of course, we have AGU 24 in mid-December, and reviewers may begin submitting their evaluations once the meeting begins. This year, we don't have those later January online sessions, so reviewers will have until January 15th to actually submit their reviews. And then finally, our coordinators will go into the system, review the feedback for the students, and then select their winners in late January. So that's the timeline and kind of the OSPA numbers for this year. I'll turn it over to Eric to wrap up.
Cool. So 6,400 student presenters is no joke, right? And we, as far as I'm aware, OSPA has never met the ultimate goal of providing feedback to every student participant. I don't think we've ever gotten to 100%, at least not in the decade plus that I've been at AGU. So we know that this is a huge effort. We do see some lower hanging fruit, though, in regards to recruitment of reviewers. One being the student reviewers. Only over half of the students who participated last year did not review a peer. That alone right there is like 1,400 students, additional pieces of review that weren't submitted. If we improve that percent this year, that's a lot more students receiving feedback and students gaining that really valuable experience of providing constructive criticism to a peer that is a big part of the scientific process, right? But also we see that the reviewers who are participating in OSPA are predominantly from the US, when that is not the case with our overall attendance. And these numbers are from last year, so that's 74% US to 26% international, is not affected too much by a in-person versus virtual split like we may have seen in 2021 or 2022. The virtual attendance last year was much lower. So we have a lot of folks who are coming to the meeting, coming from outside the US, who are not reviewing for OSPA who could. How do we reach those folks? How do we let them know about the program? How do we help our coordinators reach them? I feel like for OSPA, it's a lot of repeat reviewers and a lot of who do I know, who's from my institution who can help out. So getting the word out is a big piece here, but certainly on that our international attendee side be great, especially since a lot of our students, I feel like 50% of our students who are attending are from outside the US too. And we see in our winner data that there's a disproportionate number of winners from the US. So there's a bias there too. So we may be able to help alleviate that bias too by finding more reviewers from outside the US. I'll get off the soapbox. If we can go to the next slide. So we know there's always, OSPA is a big program. Everyone's got thoughts. We did want to hopefully gear off the conversation with these two questions, but happy to hear other folks' thoughts. If you were looking at the timeline and anything jumped out to you, either yay or nay, or concerns about the numbers. But we are interested, what can we do as AGU staff to help the sections in recruiting reviewers? We know it's a huge, effort. So what can we do to help? And how can we, we're asking our students to meet these requirements. It's not a lot to ask. It helps a lot. It helps our reviewers to be able to see these digital uploads. It helps our students receive feedback if students are reviewing their peers and they're gaining a valuable experience there as well. What can we do to help folks, help our student participants, meet these requirements and feel more comfortable with meeting these requirements? And I'll stop there. And I see that Planetary Sciences, Cryo, EPSP all running their own travel grant programs. That's great. We'll make note of this and we'll be reaching out to you to get more information and either points of contact or URLs so we can point people that way.
Great. Thanks, Eric and Ricky. There's a few questions in the chat. I'm wondering if you can answer in the chat or if we've got time in the open mic later. But thanks for that info.
Yeah, I see the one about swag. I will say we did
Yeah.
order some nice swag this year for reviewers. We don't have enough to give out to every reviewer. That would be budget prohibitive given what we're looking at this year. But we will see like, oh, what does it mean to be, an exceptional reviewer this year? Is it reviewing 5? Is it reviewing 10? But swag to give out to those folks. But yes, we did order some swag, and we're looking for some kind of budget neutral incentives too, whether it's early access to the Headshot Lounge or something like that. Any ideas that you all have. We can't afford to give a Starbucks gift card to every reviewer or something like that, right? Like we're looking at 10,000 people here, not going to happen. So what can we do that would be more budget neutral, that's achievable with only a few months left?
We also have one other question in the chat that I think would be good to address, which is from Bob Hawley. It seems like students at the OSPA competition reviewing one another presents a conflict of interest. How is this handled? Eric, do you want to take that one?
So it would only be considered a conflict of interest in regards to OSPA if they're from the same institution. And you could even say if they're from the same session, but even then they're not competing session to session, it's across the section. And the primary purpose of the program is to provide students with the feedback that they're requesting. We know that over 80% of our students who are taking part in OSPA are doing so primarily for that feedback, not for the chance to win. Yes, there are awards given out, and those who are awarded, it can really be a jump start to their career. Less concerned about the potential conflicts of interest here and more concerned with getting folks feedback and helping our students learn a critical skill.
And I'll also add to that, just when our coordinators are going through the pieces of feedback, they do see if they're coming from a student or not. So when they're selecting the winners for their section, they do see what pieces of feedback are coming from students and which pieces are not.
Yep, great point.
All right, well, thanks for that. And if you've got more questions, continue to put them in the chat, and folks will respond. Why don't we go to our next topic? And Heather Lent, Director of Digital Products, is going to talk to us about some really great work that she and her team have been doing. I know that some section leaders may have seen some of this already, but really exciting. So Heather, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Rosa. And thanks to everybody for giving me the chance to share this exciting stuff with you. So we are making some pretty substantial updates to agu.org. They fall into 3 categories. We are redesigning the navigation, we are providing personalized content, and we are completely redesigning the look and feel of the site. This will be launching in November. The goals were to kind of modernize and freshen the design. I think our website was built about 10 years ago, and it's really starting to kind of look its age. So we wanted to freshen it up a little bit. We wanted to expose people to offerings and other connections and collaborators and abstracts that are of specific interest to them. So we now have the technology that allows us to provide this personalized content, and I'll get into how we do that. But we really wanted to make that kind of personal connection. And we wanted to kind of make our site more efficient. Sometimes it takes a long time for people to get where they want to go. We wanted to really clean that up, make it easy for our users. And most importantly, the kind of approach that we took is we really wanted to make this member-centric and not AGU-centric. We really thought about how our members think about us, how they think about themselves in relation to us, and we really kind of use that approach for this whole update. So the first piece is the homepage modernization. So this is where you'll really see a huge shift in the design aesthetic. As you can see, we're shifting slowly away from, we're still using those landscapes and those kind of beautiful sweeping views of, the Grand Canyon. But we're also starting to introduce, little kind of hand drawings and line drawings and more kind of abstract sweeping kind of designs. It's a little lighter, a little more modern. The other thing we're doing is we're using less formal language and more concise language. AGU can be pretty wordy sometimes, and I think it was really important. We need to get our point across more cleanly. So we're working really closely with our communications team to kind of cut that down and make it a little more clean and to the point. Again, focusing directly on the user and not AGU as an institution. And this is the beginning of an entire site redesign. So we've already redesigned the publications website. Now we'll be building this new homepage, and slowly but surely the whole agu.org site will be brought up to this new design. And it also allows us, we're also building in more opportunities for testing. We really want to take a experiment, learn, adapt approach to everything that we do, right? And so we're building in opportunities to learn and figure out what the best approach to something is. So the other piece is refresh navigation. So the navigation is the way that users kind of navigate the site, right? And so currently there's a little what's called a hamburger menu, and you have to know where to look for it, and you have to know how to use it, and then you have to be able to understand the somewhat vague language that we're using to get you to where you want to go. So we kind of changed this approach, and now we're being much more explicit and just saying, you know, here are the different offerings for, you know, and really just spelling them out. We went with kind of a horizontal navigation along the top, something very traditional that, you know, it's a convention that anybody across cultures, across languages would be familiar with. So we really wanted to make it as user-friendly and accessible as possible. And, you know, our goal was to basically take this fire hose of AGU offerings that we have and condense it, create basically an intuitive taxonomy that means something to our users. And we wanted to condense it down into kind of bite-sized portions, and at the same time expose people to things and offerings that they may not be aware of. So personalization, and this to me is where it gets really exciting. So we are able to understand a little better now who our users are and what they want, right? So for example, we know that our early career academics really want to work on their careers, right? They want to get tenure, they want to publish, they want to find funding. We know that, and now because of some research that we've done, we have a better understanding of what all of our kind of users want based on their career stage and their career sector. So we are able to offer these kind of personalized recommendations based on our kind of knowledge of what the value is for them, how AGU brings value to them. So kind of up at the top of the screen, these users will see offerings that are really targeted to their kind of demographic, or, you know, career demographic, if you will, which doesn't mean that they don't get all of, you know, exposed to everything that we have to offer, but these are the things that we're kind of putting at the top of their experience. The other really exciting, and this is exciting for section leaders, certainly. We are also giving a home to section content on the homepage. So, you know, some people maybe don't know, they don't remember what section they signed up for, you know, back when they became a member, or, you know, they forget how to visit their section homepage. So every logged in user will now have a link directly to both their primary and their secondary section right built into the homepage. So it's a good idea to make sure that your homepage content is up to date if you haven't already before the November launch, because we imagine that there will be pretty increased traffic to the different section pages because of this. This to me is the most exciting. So this is, so we've invested a lot of time into figuring out ways to take a user's research, so all of their AGU publications and abstracts, and turning that into personalized recommendations for other users, other members who are doing similar research. So we're not taking section into account. We don't know what the field is. We're really just taking their research and comparing it to everybody else's research and making these connections. So we're doing that both for other scholars who are doing similar work, and also we're recommending articles. So articles that are kind of in the same area that you are publishing in. It's a really fun new thing that we're doing. If you have not seen, I've met with a bunch of you already. If you have not seen your personalized results, I would love to give you a sneak peek. Feel free to reach out to me, and we can it takes 10 minutes. We can set up some time. I can go over your results with you. I'd love to get feedback. We're always trying to continuously improve and figure out ways to, you know, make the algorithm better. So love to meet with people. Yeah, that's it. Questions and feedback. I'm sorry, I don't see the chat. Oh, here we go. All right,
There
the
is
current,
one question from Martha.
the
Says
current,
the
oh, sorry,
current,
go ahead.
yeah, I'll redo the question. The current search engine doesn't get many sites. Will the new one provide a more cross-site search?
So I think what this is talking about is the way that our search works, our federated search, and that maybe it's not as expansive as it could be. So no, the federated search was actually not included in this work that we're doing. It is, however, something that we are very well aware of. We know that we need to fix it, and we know that there is work to be done there. So it is a priority for 2025. Please let me know if I did not answer that, if that's not what you were getting at there, but. Yes, you will need to be logged in. So the answer to this question is both. Yes, you will need to be logged in to get your personalized results. And we are introducing a couple of different methods to just help people maintain their login. Yes, we'll have cookies that you'll be able to, reject if you don't want them. And we will have the ability to kind of stay logged in just to kind of make it easier. People log into AGU, once a year and forget their password. So this will be a little helpful. Will the sections have to redo their own pages? Yes, unfortunately, yes, that's not something that we really have access to. And when we say redo, we just need to refresh the content and make sure that it reflects, what you want it to, knowing that we'll have some increased traffic. Oh,
Any
sorry. Would the sections have to redo their own pages? To be clear, you don't need to redesign anything. This is really just about content. No, we won't remove your pages. No, we'll just be sending people directly to your pages.
Right. It sits on a different platform as well. So the redesign is not kind of connected, that Heather's work is referring to. But we did want to make you, just to reiterate what Heather's been saying, we wanted to let you know, with a little bit ahead of time before this launches in November, that there are going to be some proactive measures that will send people to your information, which, we hope is a good thing. We also know that there's a variety of, how do I put it, that some sections are able to take more time to maintain their sites more than others, and some of you have dedicated folks to do this. So, we can certainly talk to you a little bit more about how people are doing that, and we have a couple of sections where we're going to talk to you who do have active sites and actively update their sites. In a couple of minutes, they'll talk to you about that. But you all still essentially own the maintenance of your site and what's on it. Anything else before we start talking more about section websites? All right. Well, thanks so much, Heather. We really appreciate it. And Heather will probably come back in some more of these monthly calls, and we will be showing this off at AGU 24 as well. So we hope to see you there. So let me turn it over to Josh and then to a couple of sections who are going to talk about, again, the section websites in particular.
Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to go through and let you know that we will be sending out reports for each of the section websites. I'll go over what some of those reports will look like. But they will be covering the number and percentages of active users and new users that are coming onto your site, as well as how much time is being spent on your site and which pages. The countries members are logging in from, what type of devices they are using to view your sites, and the traffic source, how they got to your pages, as well as views per page. I'll be sharing this in your executive committee discussion groups on Connect in your libraries. When I update those, I will also send out directions on how to view those for those of you who do not know how to get to those libraries. And I'll also include a list of definitions or descriptions for the data content that's in these reports. But I'm just going to quickly go over and show you, give you a quick peek at what the reports will look like. So here you can see at the top of the screen, they show you the active users, new users, their percentages. And then also there's a timeline at the bottom of when people have been accessing your sites throughout the year. And these reports can also be updated. So you can do year-to-date or specific weeks. I'll be showing you the year-to-date data when I upload those to your libraries. And then here is the device category. So we're able to tell if people are accessing your sites from a desktop, a mobile device, or a tablet. And then also the top countries for where members have been logging in to view your site, and the operating systems and the browsers they've been using. And then this is the top traffic sources where they were before they've accessed your site. So majority for this one is, I'm not 100% sure what direct is. I'm going to need to get a definition for that, but it looks like most people after that are coming from Google and are their the websites they're using to access. And then these are the top pages. This information is from ASE, our ASE section, and these are the top pages that were viewed this year. And that's all that the reports will contain. Are there any questions on those? Okay, excellent. And then after the reports are sent out, if you do have any questions, feel free to send those to me and I can get responses to you right away.
Great, thanks, Josh. And then we're going to hear from a couple of sections who we do know have real active sites and are doing work to update their websites. So maybe there's some learnings and sharing and questions that can happen here. It's not only a presentation, but we want the sections to share what you've learned, pain points, successes around kind of website maintenance and content and that kind of thing. So Venkat and Sophie, why don't I turn it over to you?
Sophie, go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm a fourth year PhD student, and I've been volunteering to be the web manager for the hydrology website. It's been for like a little over a year, and I'm just here to share my experience with managing our hydrology website. And so first I would like just to go through what we as hydrology section want to show on our website. So next clip, please. So yeah, we want to represent our technical committees, of course, and then we want to represent our students. So we have them on the top panel at the very top. And then next clip, please. And then discussion is also on the top panel. And next clip, please. And so discussion is where we post our announcements, and all the members are free to post. And then next clip, please. And then so resources, we want to show important resources that are available on our hydrology section. So first is the monthly newsletter, which usually feature speakers from our executive committee, technical committees, and we also invite speakers. So that provides important information for the hydrologists. And then next click, please. And then also we want to show all the available awards that we are giving, and also special programs on the very first page. Then next click. And then also we want to host important information that we think are useful for both students and professors. That includes like interviews and lectures with famous hydrologists. And then so we also want to foster communication just on our website. So first it's a discussion panel that I just talked about. And then next, yeah, and then newsletter that is sending out every month. At least we try to send out every month, and we've been pretty good keeping at it. And then next click. And then also we want to make sure that all the executive committee's email, or like how to connect with our executive committee, is shown on our website, so people know where and how to reach us when they have questions. Then lastly, student subcommittees. they have their own website that are hosting. So when they click on the students in our top panel, that directly leads to their website. Next slide, please. And then just my role of managing the website, my main duty is first to keep information on the website updated, including our contact information and just new announcements, things like that. And next click, please, yeah. And then my role also publishes monthly newsletter, both on our website and also in the discussion. So I think if people subscribe to the discussion panel, they will receive email whenever there's a new post on the discussion. And then also I keep track of all the technical committees web management, because we try to encourage all the technical committees to have their own website. So my role is just to check regularly about whether their committee members are updated, or like their information is updated like timely. And then lastly, my main role is also to publish new programs. For example, the Bridges to the Future program we just rolled out, and I built a separate website for this program that nested below our hydrology site, so people know where to find information about this program. And then lastly, about how much time it takes. Usually it takes less than an hour to maintain all the like regular duties. And just for the very beginning, when I just took over the role, it took roughly like an afternoon to learn and get used to how to edit this website. And so, yeah, next slide. Yeah, this is like a separate website for the new program that I'm building. Next slide, please. And then just some useful tips from my experience. First is that our website is very well established. So all the panels on the homepage is already set there from my previous website editors. And also our executive committee is very clear about what to show on the website. And then also our website is properly staffed, which is that I'm very lucky to have like all the TCs to manage it their own website. And there's to the right in the middle is a screenshot of our precipitation technical committee, which is managing their website very regularly. And then newsletters are also managed by our section president, so I don't need to organize the monthly newsletter and reach out to speaker every month. And so that also make my job much easier. And then also if there is special projects, for example, we're trying to organize videos that are important for hydrologists, that is also assigned to external help. For example, we're reaching out to undergrads who would like to take over the role to manage the special projects. And then lastly is just an Excel to keep track of the committee members and technical websites. So we have been using a Google account that's been shared among all the web editors. So that's where we keep all these Excels, and then also like documents that are useful to manage the website. So that has also been very helpful. And so, yeah, that's it. Next slide. And then Kat, do you have anything to add to this?
No, I should make a special comment and say, Sophie has been awesome. I mean, she does this. She's a graduate student and she does this, and it's great. And it's great to have the support of Josh here. We are a very big section, so we obviously need this to communicate with people. And one of the things I have to say, because I've been a member for almost 30 some years, and having technical committees, we have a very, very active technical committee meeting structure during the fall meeting. And also now the newsletters have been going at a very steady clip. So, I think this website allows us to reach a lot of people, and we're very, very thankful to AGU for, having provide us that structure, and for Sophie to working to make this very accessible to people. So thank you very much. Thank you, Sophie.
And yeah, we're happy to take any question. There's time.
Yeah, we have a few questions that maybe Sophie you could address, and then we also have another section who is going to let us know how they do some things. So,
Yep.
one of the questions is, are you using section funds to pay for some of this work?
So I have been doing this voluntarily. So my main role is just to maintain our section's main website. And I'm not sure how the technical committees are using whether they're using volunteers to manage their websites. I think some of the chairs do it themselves. But yeah, although I volunteer, I think when I go to committees, my registration fee is waived. So that is, I think that is the fund that goes into this, I think.
Okay, good to know. Oh, and then again, is asked if the section paid someone for the initial design.
So the website, I think the AGU has like I don't know if it's like they paid for this, but the website editing is pretty modularized. So when
Yeah.
you go to edit the website, you have like different sections that
Right.
like different blocks, you just insert them. So it's very straightforward. There's not a lot to like do, like you don't need to write JavaScript or anything. It's just very modularized. Like I think probably like Weebly, if someone have used it.
Yeah, I mean, we do use Higher Logic for this, but Josh, I don't know if you have anything else to add along these lines before we get to the next.
No, I believe the websites were all done like a standard website, and we have training videos through Higher Logic that we can provide for you. But then every section has taken their website and made it into what it is today.
Yeah, so I just was, I guess, wondering about the format and if there's like a template, like if you were using a WordPress template or a Weebly template or something like that. I mean, I'm in planetary science and ours looks very different. So I'm just wondering, obviously, once you have the structure, you can just update the structure and keep adding newsletters or keep adding stuff. But creating that first structure that looks clean and a nice interface, I'm just wondering if there was a template that you guys used or it was, yeah. It's just been there for a long time. You don't remember. I don't know, right?
Yeah, I think we need to look a
Yeah,
little more into the, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sophie, go ahead.
sorry, yeah, I just want to say I didn't make the structure because I think this was from like the very beginning, which I haven't took over the role yet. But yeah, I think we're just free to design to like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
Then the template was established by Higher Logic and
Yeah.
built in 2017 by somebody who previously had the role of membership manager and person who managed the creation of all the websites. So there is a standard template.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg.
Okay,
Sure.
then we're not using it in planetary. So maybe we should look at using it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, well, why don't we go ahead and we've got another website there, another section we're going to take a look at, and then maybe we can have a little more discussion. So Suzanne, and I think do we have and Kimberly might be here as well. So-
Kimberly is on too, so Kimberly
Yes.
Renault, the president.
Great. So if the two of you want to go ahead and let us know about the work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. This is Suzanne. I'm going to be leading this discussion, but I know Kimberly is here in case she wants to speak up at any point. There should be slides in the slide deck. Let me go to the first one. So my slides are not as fancy as Sophie's. I did a handful of screenshots last night just to get a quick look at what we have in our website. I should say that our website is maintained by our section secretary, Joel Scheingross. He couldn't be here today, otherwise I'd have him talk about this. And he's been doing it for a number of years. I was taking notes with the idea of having a student perhaps help with this task, because I think it's Joel could use some help. He does a lot of work. So what I've put together is really trying to illustrate some of the key features that I find useful on our website. I'm really looking forward to seeing the analytics that Josh mentioned are going to be coming for us, because I'm curious whether, how many people participate and make use of our website. I should say we're a smaller section than hydrology. We used to be a technical committee in hydrology, and we broke off from that about 2009, 2008, somewhere in there. So we're smaller than hydrology. Okay, so first of all, if we can click forward one click, I want to point out that on the home page, you can see that we have a fairly active student committee. The lead piece here is about our early career spotlight, and that student who is being spotlighted this month is going to participate in an event, a coffee hour that you can register for here. You can also see that the student committee is running a sticker design contest for the AGU 24 meeting. I have a sticker from last year's student committee work as well, and it's on my laptop, but here's an example. So that's going on again. There's also some old stuff on this webpage. If you click one more, yeah, you can see there's some old stuff that's been there for a number of years. Here's a statement from 2020 that we still have on the webpage. Okay, I didn't click through every single menu that you can see here, but again, things that I find useful. So next click. Here's that early career spotlight. If you click on the name of the person who's being spotlighted this month, you'd come to this. And this page, I'm just showing you the top of the page. You can scroll further down the page and read a great deal about this particular student. And we do an early career spotlight every month, which is pretty exciting. Next slide. Here's the list under early career spotlight, that menu that you can find across the top of the homepage. And you can see all the early career spotlights that we've done. So here they are for the last 2 years. And we do about one a month. You can see here, obviously there's some months we don't quite do it. There's also a link here where you can nominate someone for this spotlight. We're always looking for new students to spotlight. I think this encourages the early career and young members of our community, which is really nice thing to do. Okay, next. I'm curious what I have next here. This is EPSP Connects, is a webinar program that we have. You can find that under virtual engagement is the menu that you pull this up on. And we have these kinds of webinars held quite regularly. There does not happen to be one coming up right away, but I think if we click on the next, oh, no, sorry, go back. Let me go back to this. You can access all of the presentations that have been done in EPSP Connects back to 2020 by scrolling down this page. There have been 35 different webinars, and these are mostly science talks, but some of them are slightly different topics. And obviously there's if you're interested in pitching something for this, you could reach the organizers of this activity. Okay, next, if you go to the awards link across the top of the page, this is what you're going to find is a list of our who are our section awards winner. Notice that Joel has been in there already and updated with 2024 award winners from our section. And you can find the list of the past recipients of these awards if you scroll down the page. I actually find that this is an easier way to see who our section award winners are, who our section fellows are, than using the honors portal of the main AGU. So I find that this is a this is a place I turn to. Maybe that reflects my career stage, but I turn to this fairly regularly. Next, don't recall what's on here. Of course, there's an about menu across the top of the homepage, and this tells you who's on our executive committee. I've just chopped off the top of it, but you scroll down the page and you'll see all of the current officers. There's a nice picture of Kimberly there. Don't think our Twitter account is very active right now. Our social media person and Twitter itself are really not active. There are a few things that aren't up to date in here. Next. Also under the About menu, you'd find a link to our newsletters, and we do produce a newsletter every month. You can go back and read those newsletters for the last 8 years at least here if you'd like. So this is a resource if you're interested in keeping up with what's latest and announcements that come out in those newsletters. I think there's one more link here. Next. There's in the About page, you can find out who's on the student committee. This is this very active group that is running a sticker thing, and they run the early career spotlight that's going on as well. And there's a link there if you're interested in joining the student committee. So this is a very active group within our community. I think that might be my last slide. I mean, I just have to say that there are things I haven't mentioned on here. There's a resources tab across the top of the homepage, which will take you to things like computing resources that are useful. There's the Community Surface Dynamics Modeling System, and there's a link to that group if you're interested in features of that sort. Under meetings, you can find out about the Gilbert Club meeting that is coming up in December, which is not an AGU activity, but is very much an outgrowth of our community, sort of anarchistic community. And there's a link to give up here. I'm not sure that we get a whole lot of donations that way, but it would be nice if we did. So those are the kind of the highlights that I picked out across our website. I do think this is just a template that we populate and keep up to date as best we can. I'm happy to take any questions. And Kimberly, if you have anything you want to add, now's your chance.
I think you did a great overview. Thank you so much for doing this, Suzanne. Yeah. I think that it's a little bit more than a template in that as new ideas crop up, Joel has added things. He's just been wonderful maintaining it. And just second the thing that Suzanne brought up, and overall we have this. Yeah, I think that when you have a lot of volunteers, it helps generate that. But we're still at the stage where we're trying to do that. I don't know who can do this other than us, so it's going to be one of my new efforts in my sort of retirement as president next year, Suzanne. But thank you for doing that.
Sure. Actually, I should point out one other thing. On our About page is a link for how you can join EPSP. Have us be your section or your secondary section. So that's another feature of our website.
Great. No, thank you for all of the input and information. It's really, really good. It'll be interesting to see the reports, how they change over time as we have the personalized redesign.org pointing to you all a little bit more. So that will be good to see. And we're always here through Josh to, provide support. I mean, the expectations that you have a volunteer, in your sections to, as folks have been talking about, to maintain the content, keep it fresh. But there are ways that we can assist in terms of the technology and training, and getting you connected with people at Higher Logic as well. So we've got 5 minutes. I want to see if anyone has any questions for folks about their websites or want to share about what you're doing in that realm, or we can take any other questions. Anyone want to jump in? I'm just looking at the chat and looking for hands here, scrolling through. All right. Well, if folks don't have anything else to add, let us know what you'd like to see as a topic next month. I know that Josh sent out a survey after last month's, actually, we didn't have a section call last month. So in lieu of that, we did send out a survey and some of you did respond. So we'll look at that for topics. Some of them, I looked at an early list and some of the topics are familiar. So we'll come back to that. But certainly this is your meeting. We want you to be able to learn from each other, talk to each other. We'll probably be spending time next month talking about AGU 24 a little bit more and some other items. But with that, unless anyone wants to chime in, we'll let you go. And we thank you for your service to AGU and volunteering. It's a lot. I know, just hearing everyone talking about maintaining the websites is a lot of work. I understand, so it's great. All right, I see people going, so I'll wave goodbye and stick around for a couple of minutes.